asking for forgiveness. Let me explain what it's about first before we do it. Asking for forgiveness, particularly beings that you have offended or wronged in the past, maybe in past lives. You might have done something really, really very bad. You might have killed somebody, and that someone has been reborn in an existence which, spirit existence, and is waiting for the opportunity to take revenge. When one is doing meditation, it seems like they like to make use of this opportunity to come and disturb you in various ways. Through hallucinations, through sounds, various other ways. So it's good to ask for forgiveness from them. And secondly, you need also to forgive yourself for any misdeed that you have done in the past. Sometimes it's easy to forgive other people, but not so easy to forgive yourself. So we need to forgive everyone, yourself as well as others. We forgive oneself, and we ask for forgiveness from people whom we have offended, intentionally or unintentionally, through thought, word, or action. Please repeat after me. Throughout the round of births and deaths, without a conceivable beginning, if I have offended any Sammasambuddhas, any Pacceka Buddhas, any Arahants, any awakened persons, any of my parents, any of my teachers, or any other beings, intentionally or unintentionally, through thought, speech, or action, I humbly ask for forgiveness. At the same time, throughout the round of births and deaths, without a conceivable beginning, I absolutely forgive all those who offended me, intentionally or unintentionally, through thought, speech, or action. Regardless of what I've done, I also fully forgive myself. Furthermore, if I have indulged in any spiritual activities that promote unwholesomeness and are contrary to the Buddha's teaching, I now renounce and abandon them. From today onwards, I offer my life to the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. By the power of these merits, may I attain Nibbana in comfort and with quick-witted insight. This is all this last part about giving up spiritual activities that promote unwholesomeness. Some people might have gotten involved in spirit cults and so forth. If you try to do Buddhist meditation, these spirits might come and disturb you. So it's best that you put away all these things. So as a start for the retreat, we will start off by doing Buddhanussati, which is recollecting the virtues of the Buddha as a guardian meditation. We are living at the fringe, so to speak, at the fringe of the forest and at the fringe of the cemetery. This is a place where there can be various unseen beings lurking around, as well as wild animals. For the sake of protection, it is good for us to do two types of guardian meditations. One is called Buddhanussati, or recollecting the virtues of the Buddha. This is particularly helpful when you are fearful of certain things that happen to you, like having a nightmare or having a very frightful hallucination or apparition in the course of your practice. You might see or hear or smell things which may be very suspicious and make you fearful. And when such things happen, it is good to chant this Buddhanussati. So let's do this first. Let me explain. Actually, there are 9 virtues of the Buddha. We are just going to focus on 2 specific virtues. One is Sammasambuddha, which is perfectly self-awakened. Samma is perfectly, Sam is by oneself, and Buddha is awakened. So the Buddha was perfectly self-awakened. He did not need to rely on a teacher like us. We have to rely on a teacher now, and that teacher relies on the teachings of the Buddha, who was the one who discovered the truth or rediscovered the truth and taught us the way to realize the truth that he himself had done so. He was very unique in the sense that he did not need a teacher. He found the truth, or he rediscovered the truth himself and expounded it to us. What does perfect self-awakening entail? What's so great about being perfectly self-awakened? We Buddhists believe that when one gets fully awakened, it means that one has perfectly and irrevocably purified the mind of all sorts of defilements, greed, hate, or delusion, and the various other shades of these 3 roots of defilements. That means there's no more aversion, no more depression, frustration, no more sadness, no unpleasant states of mind whatsoever. And there's no greed, no attachment, no clinging, no wanting, no desires, and the mind is perfectly pure. When the mind is perfectly pure, then very automatically the Brahma Viharas, or the divine abidings, would arise according to circumstances. One would have real unconditional loving kindness for all beings, would have compassion for beings that are suffering, one would have sympathetic joy for beings who are successful, and one would be able to evoke equanimity when things seem beyond one's control. And this happens all the time. When a person is completely enlightened, completely awakened, there's no opportunity for unwholesome states to arise at all. No selfishness. It's perfect altruism all the time. That's what's so great about the Sammasambuddha. He discovered it himself, and then he disclosed or expounded the way to us, the way to enlightenment, to awakening as well. So that brings us to the other virtue of the Buddha called Arahan. The word Arahan can be analyzed into 3 aspects, 3 ways of understanding the word Arahan. The first is Ara plus Hang. Ara means enemy, and Hang means a destroyer, an enemy destroyer. And what does that mean? It means that the Buddha has completely destroyed the enemies of greed, hate, and delusion, the enemies of mental defilements. These are our real enemies, not the apparent enemies outside, belligerent people, wild animals, evil spirits. These are not the real enemies. Our real enemies are the defilements themselves. So the Buddha has vanquished all of them, and therefore he is called Arahan, enemy destroyer. The second aspect of Arahan is Arahan. A plus Rahang. A means without, and Rahang means privacy or secrecy. He doesn't have any need for secrecy or privacy. Because when people want to do evil things, they always try to do it stealthily. They collaborate and plot in secret, trying to keep people away, doing things in private so that others don't see. But the Buddha wouldn't need that because he has no more defilements. He doesn't need to hide. He's totally open. So that's why he's also called an Arahang, one without need for secrecy. And finally, the third aspect of Arahan is being worthy. The Buddha is worthy of respect, worthy of salutation, worthy of offerings, worthy of hospitality, and so forth, precisely because he is so pure. When you observe your own minds, if you're really very truthful to yourself, you don't try to fool yourself, you just look into your minds, you'll be able to see that it's so full of defilements, or rather it's so easily influenced by defilements almost all the time. Almost every intention that we have is motivated by desire, liking and disliking. Yeah, you can notice, if you try to watch your mind for just one day or even one sitting, you'll be able to see how many times your mind is influenced by the defilements. Imagine, when you are able to actually see all these defilements happening within your mind, then that's a really great opportunity for you to appreciate the greatness of the Buddha. The Buddha is completely free of all these things that you're still grappling with. As I said this morning, luckily the Buddha also said in one sutta that all these defilements are visitors. The mind is intrinsically pure and bright, but it's only these external visitors that come in and defile it. It's like all those bacteria and virus waiting out there to pounce on you if your immune system is down. If you want to really be spiritually healthy, to be free from attack by these mental defilements, you have to build up your spiritual immune system. Well, that's what this whole retreat is going to be about. But now we try to appreciate what the Buddha had done, and by recollecting the virtue of the Buddha, then this will help us to have confidence. It will help us to allay any fears that arise in our minds due to our misperceptions or real perceptions, whatever they are. To recap, Sammasambuddha means perfectly self-awakened. Arahang, first aspect, means enemy destroyer. The second aspect means no need for secrecy or privacy. And the third is worthy of respect, or adoration, hospitality and offerings, and so forth. So we shall recite this. I'm sure that all of you are already familiar with the tune, but let's do it together for a while, and you will do it on your own. And you try to do this until tonight. Don't do anything else. Whatever you do, you don't have to sit all the time. You can sit, you can walk, you can stand, you can do in whatever posture, but keep on reciting this in your mind. Any questions? No. Arahang Sammasambuddha, Arahang Sammasambuddha, Arahang Sammasambuddha, Arahang Sammasambuddha, Arahang Sammasambuddha. Arahan 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 Sammasambuddha. Please continue. Last round.
Arahan Sammasambuddha. Arahan Sammasambuddha. Arahan Sammasambuddha.
There are a couple of steps involved in this. The first step is to try to get used to the tune, and I'm sure most of you are already quite used to it. And the second step is for you to start to visualize a Buddha image that you particularly like. Or it could be several Buddha images could come to your field of awareness as you do the chanting. Now, don't get carried away by them. Just keep on the chanting, keep your mind focused. And if these Buddha images should bring up memories of circumstances in the past or past experiences, don't follow them, come back to your chanting. And if the mind keeps on running off after getting used to doing the chanting and the visualization, then you try to understand the meaning of each word as you chant. Arahan, enemy destroyer. Sammasambuddha, perfectly self-awakened. As you chant, don't worry about missing, because it's going to come back. If you miss one, the next one will come back to you very soon. Try to keep track of your chanting by understanding each syllable as you chant. See which works for you. If you can just keep on with the tune and keep your mind settled, and the mind is not caught up in thoughts about anything, then it serves its purpose in one way, because it helps to compose and focus your mind. If you know the meaning, it's also good, because it will give you confidence when you encounter frightening experiences in the course of your stay here. And I always like to remind people that if you want to travel on a boat, make sure you know how to swim first. Don't try to swim after the boat capsizes. You'll never make it. That's why I'm dedicating these few hours until 8 p.m. tonight for you to try to master this. So used to it, in fact, that if you do have a nightmare at night, you can even chant this in your dream. It becomes a reflex action. Try to internalize it within yourself. To recap, no need to sit cross-legged with your eyes closed. You can do this anywhere, anytime, and also mentally, not necessarily by reciting it verbally. If you're alone, you can do it verbally. Like here, and if you are gathered for doing a group session on this, you can all do it together. But otherwise, you should try to do it mentally. Any questions? No. So don't try to force yourself to sit long if you can't. You can get up and walk or do whatever you want, but keep on chanting. See you tonight.